Hello Internet, and welcome to episode 3 of Honest Movie Reviews on the same movie. Oh my gosh, honestly you guys, I'm really not obsessing about this. I just realized there were just so many learning opportunities here, and I gotta tell you, this is going to be 100% positive, so I went back as part of associated with the Christmas gift I received from my daughter. She got me episodes 1 through 6, and so I decided, you know what, I haven't really sat down and critically watched those movies and evaluated them based on my current paradigms and mindset. So I decided I would go ahead over this holiday and weekend and zip on through episodes 1 through 6. What I discovered was that I really appreciate episodes 1 through 3 a whole lot more than I thought I did in the past. And I discovered the problems that I had with the current movie wasn't really the fault of J.J. Abrams, nor did he fail to do his job. In fact, right now I'm going to go on record, J.J. Abrams absolutely executed his job very well, and to my satisfaction as a director of this latest edition of Star Wars, and I look forward to his next installment. Now, why would I say this? Because J.J., his job was not to fix what George Lucas failed to do. And I think that really was the feeling I carried with me unconsciously when I went and saw the movie the first time. Remember, I hadn't watched anything more than a minute and 57-second trailer that had run through my feed, and then I decided I don't want to watch anymore. I just want this movie to manifest and show me. I didn't even know there was going to be a Death Star. I had no idea I just had no idea what I was in for. So imagine my surprise, right, when I'm like, there's another one? So you can watch those videos and you can see my immediate reaction was very negative because it jaded everything. So this time I knew there was going to be a Death Star, and I knew that they were literally going to, scene for scene, reshoot that Death Star attack. And what's interesting, though, is that as I was paying attention to the movie with my daughter, I went and saw it yesterday, as a matinee. I figured I'd see it as a matinee, and I'd see it on a digital screen instead of 3D so that I could tell you, is there a need to see it in 3D? There's absolutely no need to see this movie in 3D. Having seen it in 3D and having seen it in digital, it was easier on the eyes to watch it in digital. Didn't give me, those glasses sometimes will give you a little bit of headache because they dim the light a little bit, regardless of their quality. So the movie was great. As I said, J.J. executed his job well. Now, here's the thing. This is the problem that I think all of us have relative to the current installment. And that is, George Lucas failed to convince us that the dark side is absolutely seductive. At least to my level of understanding. And by that I mean, you have to be really messed up to kill children, right? And that was literally Anakin's baptism in blood, is he participated in the slaughter of younglings and everyone in between, and elderly Jedi, and all the civilians that worked inside the Jedi Temple. I mean, like, everyone got cut down. So that is incomprehensible to me. I have a hard time wrapping my head around that as a necessity of functioning within the dark side, right? I don't believe that you need to be a murderer to draw on those powers, or that aspect. And I don't believe that murdering actually makes you better at it. It just makes you a murderer. So this was like the philosophical bedrock that really hung with me, and made Anakin's eventual redemption by Luke more, to me it seems more like Anakin was brought back to midline. Where if you look at it, there's like this line here going side to side, and it's graded from the dark side to the light. And in between this dark side to light side, as you're moving along, there's all sorts of behaviors. Well, Anakin starts here at midline as a child on the light, and he goes up, and by the time he's a Padawan, he's about as ascended as he's going to get, because he slaughters a bunch of children in the Sand People village, as well as adults and women and everything else. But he points out that he killed them all, women and children, everyone, and then he pointed out that he was fine with that. So Anakin seems like he has a serious problem with sociopathy. This is confirmed later on when he becomes, in the episode, when he decides to disavow himself from his Jedi oath and become a pathological liar and involving another person who is otherwise an honorable woman into this pathology where she becomes his enabler. So that whole process there with Anakin was unsatisfactory, because I believe his mental illness was the catapult towards his dark side obsession, as opposed to a regular normal person. If you're given the choice, most people will go like this, but we won't go sliding all the way to the peaks and valleys. It's more like a little tiny sine wave where we tip back and forth across that midline throughout our lives. Where situationally we make calls, and some of them might be very self-centered, and that can be considered evil from a certain point of view. So that wasn't addressed, which is why I kept pursuing JJ and asking him, please show me why this is seductive. Instead, his job is quite the opposite. His job is to show you why the light side has powers of seduction. And the thing is I don't think the light seduces. The light manifests and reveals. It causes someone who's hardened their heart pain to let it in, right? Coming out of a darkened cave and into absolute light, or even a darkened theater into the light of a summer mid-afternoon, you're all like, oh gosh, that hurts, that hurts, that hurts. That literally becomes a metaphor of the cleansing process of acquiring more and more light, because it requires you to eventually either adjust or return to your previous state. And as you adjust, you find you can adjust more and more and more into increasing levels of light. So that's what we're seeing. I'm fairly certain then that we're looking at this is Kylo Ren or Ben Solo at his lowest point in the dark side, because he starts the movie by killing a village with women and children. I mean, everyone dies, elderly, women, and children, so he kills them all. He's the guy who says, kill them all. And so he's at that depth there, that abyss, and he's finding the light is tormenting him, right? It hurts. So his parallel opposite is actually his twin, which is Rey. I'm absolutely certain Rey is another Solo, and that they're following the novelization where Han Solo's daughter redeems the son. The reason I say this is because immediately you see Kylo Ren in his mask. The key is the mask. He starts off with his mask on. She starts off with a mask which is white or taupe colored, but the structure of the lenses and the thing around it is basically a mirror echo of Kylo Ren's own attire, right down to she's got the little turban thing going on, and it gives her a cowled appearance or a covered appearance where even her mouth is covered. So they both start off and they're mirror. What JJ does really well is give you a lot of Kabbalah. He gives you a tremendous amount of dualism, like for instance when Poe and Finn are sitting in the TIE fighter, they assume the attitude of the god Janus, because they're back to back and their heads are back to back. So one face is this way and the other face is that way, and then they're talking and negotiating, because Janus is also a representation of ourselves. And our capacity to look both forward and backward and take action in the now. So and Janus, by the way, is also the reason why we have January. It's named after the god Janus, looking both forward and backward in the year. You're at that point. January 1st is where you look forward and backward. So just a little fun note. So a lot of that was done really well. Seeing the staging was very nice, like when Kylo Ren murders his father on that gangplank, which is ridiculously unsafe anyway. Um, you've got the two pillars again, with Finn on, I believe he was on the right, and Rey was on the left, which positions them accurately relative to the two pillars, the two towers. And then there's light behind them from the diminishing sun, and then you see Chewbacca, who's midline, like on a mezzanine. So he's going to represent the bridge between the old, which is being destroyed, and the new. So Chewbacca's our continuity guide for the audience. He's the one who's bearing custody of our new line of people, which is great. Wookiees are very long-lived, so he's a perfect candidate for that. So all of that was communicated really well. It's just so sad and unfortunate that it was somehow necessary to the plot line to make a Death Star, because all of this structure, all of this storytelling could have been done without a Death Star. It could have just been a base where they were developing something terrible, and any number of things, you know. Let's see, they did give you a somewhat positionality of stuff, and the only reason why I even could guess at it was because I was paying attention to a few other reviewers out there that were pointing out that was probably Coruscant that got wiped out, which means that planet or moon that they were also on, Han and everyone, was in line of sight to Coruscant. You know, a lot of the geography of the story was a little messy for me, and that was it. You know, the truth of the matter is that Star Wars has never really taken time to point out where stuff is. They just say we're going here, and then they arrive. Bam, you know. Emperor wants to get to Mustafar, you know, and so he immediately gets a shuttle, and now he's there in time to save Anakin. So the movie itself, if I were to give it a review right now, based on all the stuff that they did and how they executed it, I would give it 4 out of 5 TIE Wing fighters. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you. Probably won't be discussing this movie anymore because I'm done. I have a bunch of other projects I'm getting on to. So look for those. And but I wanted to take an opportunity and just kind of address this, just because I felt it needed to be done. Just like George Lucas felt he needed to CGI an entire scene with Jabba the Hutt in Episode 4. Oh my gosh, that guy really overworked those movies. But you know, a work of art is never complete, only abandoned. I will talk to you later. Have a good one. And may the Force be with you.